Welcome. We'll get started shortly. Before we begin, here's how to earn continuing professional education credit for attending this session. There are no polling questions or attendance checks. Instead, you will demonstrate your knowledge by taking a brief multiple-choice quiz using the Earmark app. Visit earmark.app in your web browser. You can also download the mobile app by scanning the QR code on the screen. Log in, or if you're new, create your free account. Be sure to use a valid email address because that's where we'll send your course completion certificates. From the home screen, scroll down to find the course. You can also tap the magnifying glass icon to search for the course. Tap on the course artwork, then the Enroll button. On the Course tab, you'll find the recording and quiz questions. Complete the quiz to earn your CPE certificate. It takes us a few days to create the course on the app, so if you are attending this session live, please wait a few days. We'll email you a link to the course when it is ready. If you have questions or need help, email us at support@earmarkcpe.com. And now, on to the event.
Hi everyone. Welcome to the session. Today we are going to have a webinar on manage cash flow better with automated expense management solution. So before diving into the session, I would like to take you through the agenda for the day. So we will start with the important and challenges faced by the small and medium enterprises in cash flow. And then we are talking about how expense control will help to manage your cash flow better. Then third, we will discuss on why an expense automation solutions makes a difference. And finally, we will talk about how you can manage all your clients' expenses at one place. So this is going to be the agenda. We are going to have it for 40 minutes and probably we will take questions later. So before getting into the session, let me introduce myself. I'm Satish Kannan. I head marketing for the Zoho Spend Management Solutions. So most of you know about Zoho. For people who don't know what is Zoho, so let me explain you. Zoho is a very unique and powerful software suite of products, software solutions to transform the way you handle the business. Right? It is designed for companies of all the sizes, and Zoho is a 25 plus year old company. We have around 55 plus products to handle everything a business need. So right from a customer engagement solution to a CRM platform to a finance and operation solutions to a collaboration suite of products. So anything a business needs. So we call ourselves as a business operation suite of product. So we are present in 150 countries. We have 100 million plus customers. We serve more than half a million, more than half million customers, and we have products to serve entire gamut of business applications. So that's about Zoho, and I represent this Zoho Finance suite of products. I have 16 plus years of experience in sales and marketing. Currently, I'm heading the global marketing for Zoho Business Spend Solutions. So in Zoho Business Spend Solutions, what we offer is a complete suite of software solutions to handle the entire business spend of an organization. So right from your travel and expense management to procurement to AP automation to payroll. So anything a business needs. So we help you in managing the every dollar spent in your organization. So that is what we do. And I am based out of Chennai, India, and I travel extensively, which I like to do. I often travel at least once in a month to US, meet customers. So that's what motivates me to stay in sales and marketing for 16 years. Always pleasure to meet customers and share the ideas and thoughts, whatever, and learning on the way. I'm married. I have a son who is in class 7. He is 12 years old, and we live in Chennai, in the southern part of India. That's about me. Now, just let's dive into cash flow management. So, when I was given the opportunity from the MR team on to handle what webinar to take, I was thinking about how do we manage cash flow better with a kind of expense automation, right? So, you all know the importance of cash flow because I don't need to actually put more emphasis on why a cash flow is important because that is your day in and day out job. So, but what I'm going to emphasize here in the first part of my presentation is to why a cash flow is important for small and medium business enterprise, and then and why it makes sense even now with the current economic uncertainties, the pandemic, post-pandemic world, with the business uncertainty support, how a cash flow management is, because we interact with a lot of small and medium enterprises and we understand their issues on cash flow management and how to handle their profits. So we have more experience in the small and medium enterprises. And then I would like to share my thoughts, my learnings over this next 40 minutes of importance of cash flow and how an expense automation can help you manage it better. So before getting into all those things, like I think, as I told you, like you guys know better about cash flow, the importance of it. But what I wanted to say is, cash flow is at the center of your business financial health, right? It is the linchpin of your businesses, right? And it's important to find different ways to effectively manage it. There are different ways to manage, but cash flow is where you focus on more. So, and to start with, I found this great quote from Richard Branson, which most of you know. So he says, never take your eyes off cash flow because it's the lifeblood of your business. So, and just I came across a very interesting stat also, right? So the 82% of small businesses fail because of cash flow problem. It's not because the lack of demand, it's not because of lack of profit, it's because of failure to handle the cash flow problems better. So this is the stats which we get from. And 32% of small businesses file bankruptcy show they are making profit in their books. That shows that even though if they make profit, they still fail because they are not able to handle the cash flow better. So that shows the importance of cash flow. Even though you think profit is primary, but if you don't handle the cash flow better, even if you make profit, you can still fail as an organization. So that is how important mainly the cash flow for small businesses, because large businesses has the financial muscle, they have the better systems, or they have the better manpower and the better the financial muscle to cushion the effects of a bad market or a bad economic uncertainty. But small businesses doesn't have all those things. So that is why the cash flow is key for small businesses particularly, right? So why cash flow management is more relevant for small businesses now, that is what I wanted to emphasize more, because the main thing what we see in the businesses across is the post pandemic disruptions has affected the small businesses in place of handling the cash flow better, right? Post pandemic, there's a huge disruption in the supply chain. There is huge uh, the cold wars between the countries. The entire supply chain is being shifted from China to different parts of the world. So this gives you a kind of a economic uncertainty post pandemic, and that's affecting the small businesses more, which we seen during pandemic and even post pandemic. Second is the geopolitical uncertainties, we all know, right? Because and we see day in and day out, and we don't know what will happen, what will it will impact to the small businesses. And then the employment issues, right? So post pandemic, there's a surge of employment opportunity for the IT and the ITES related job, and people were getting offers which exceeding double of their salary. But right now, people have realized that end of the day, a face-to-face meeting is better. So all the digital disruption what we got post pandemic has come back to a face-to-face meeting. So people who actually employed well in this digital solution based companies, or people who want to like customize all these things, actually changed, right? So the employment is actually coming back, and that's thing. And then the fourth thing is the global inflation, right? The global inflation is affecting the expenses in every other way, uh, starting from your hotel cost to your flight cost, because these prices have not come down post pandemic, because there was an escalation post pandemic, and then now it is not coming down. The inflationary pressures affect the expenses. But if you see the balance sheet of larger companies also, they were making the same revenue, but their profits have come down because their cost to serve the customers is more, right? So for the same revenue, they have to shell out more dollars to serve the customers, so their profits are coming down purely because of the inflationary pressures. So if it is affecting the big businesses, the small businesses will also be affected heavily on this one. So why it is more challenging for small businesses in case of cash flow, right? First thing is the lack of cash reserves, because the small businesses doesn't have a kind of abundant cash, right? It's not unlimited cash available for small businesses. The second thing, the biggest challenge what we see in the SMEs is the manual processes, because most of the SMEs, probably around 70-80%, doesn't have a very structured or automated processes to handle the cash flow. And then the business uncertainties, which we spoke in the last slide, and then the lack of automated cash flow tracking. They don't know the entire tracking of the entry to the exit of cash, right? And then the last part, which you're going to dwell upon more, spend more time, is the expense control and the visibility issue, right? Because as we know, there are a lot of ways to handle cash flow, because you guys know it day in day out. You can actually defer the payments, how you pay to your vendors, how you collect your the receivables from time from your customers. So there are different ways, but in this webinar we are going to focus on how expense control and the visibility issues, which will help you in handling the cash flow better. So that is going to be the focus, because all other segments you guys always been practicing it more day in day out. One thing which is less focused or ignored is the automated expense management in handling the cash flow better. So that is what I am going to focus. That is where my expertise lies. So I'm going to focus on that one today. um, so as I told you, like, expense control for better cash flow is going to be our topic, right? So why it's, before starting and going deep into this thing, so expense management is not a stand. It's one of my favorite quote, right? Because we see expense management as a very standalone process, that okay, my employees go out and spend for a hotel, for food, for a business travel, for office supplies, everything. We see it as a kind of very separate process, but it has to be integrated to a broader financial strategy. For example, if you are in the business of insurance selling, or if you are in the business of a sales where you have your employees day in day out traveling on the field and meeting customers, your expense management strategy should be based on that. If you are in the manufacturing, that is different. Your expense management strategies are going to be different. So when there's economic certainty, we have seen across the organizations in the globe, they started cutting down their business spend. A company which actually has a 80% salesperson can't cut their business spends on travel, because that is how they will get the revenue. But the same thing can be done by a manufacturing company or an IT services company, but it can't be done by a company which has a heavy sales oriented approach towards the customer. So your expense management strategy should overall align with what business you do, and what is your overall financial strategy, and how your expense is directly proportional to the revenue what you get, right? So you have to design your entire expense management strategy based on this. This is what most of the small companies fail to do. When there is uncertainty, the first thing they cut is the business travel, without knowing what is the direct impact of a business travel create to the expense. So there is what you get from every business travel unit you travel, right? It's called something called reput, so return for every business travel you do. So the companies have to have an idea what kind of business they are in, and how their expense strategy should be based on it. So, and second thing which we also focus is that when we say that okay, uh, you should cut the waste, not the cost. This is what we say from our spend management vertical to the any domain specific events I attend. This is my most favorite quote. Second most favorite quote is, when we say that you should control your spend, it doesn't mean that you have to cut your cost. So that is a very misunderstood conception. So you have to cut the unnecessary expenses. So when you cut your cost, which we discussed in the last slide, when you cut your cost, it will directly impact your revenue. So that is what happened post pandemic. People started cutting their business travel, they cut their expenses, they thought they can handle every business call online. But what happened is that they realized that facing customer is the one which is going to give them better results. So, and then when they say okay, cut the food expenses, they cut it fully, they brings down the morale of the employees. So you should know where to cut your cost and where to cut the waste. You have to cut the waste. So there are different ways you can cut the waste, you can optimize the cost. So that is what we are going to focus. How do you cut the waste, not the cost, right? So this will help you in preserving the cash for operations and for any investments, right? Uh, so now that we have been speaking about uh, how to cut the waste, so let us apply this to the travel and expense management. Travel and expense management is one of the major source of expense for even the smaller companies, because when we talk about T&E management, smaller companies always feel that, okay, no, that's a very minuscule part of our expenses. Why do we need to for it hardly affects us thing. But now that because of all the economic uncertainties, we have actually cut the cost or cut the waste or optimize the expenses across all the verticals, made your fixed infrastructure, maybe it your office infrastructure, maybe your employee cost and everything. So one thing which we need to focus, which is the employee T&E cost, which is less monitored and probably I will say ignored cost also, because they think, okay, what difference this is going to make if I save some money from travel expense, it's not going to affect. But I, because I'm in this field for over a sales and marketing field, I known companies who have actually saved 1 to 1.5% of their spend just by implementing a travel policy in their organization. Initially they had just adopt travel policies. They've saved around 1 to 1.5% just by implementing a travel policy, making a process document around travel and expense. So that is the kind of impact in this scenario. Just imagine if the company is doing a kind of a spend of probably 1 million or maybe 10 million. So if you say like 1%, that itself is going to be 100k dollars. So which is going to be heavy savings for the company, right? And one more thing, it's mostly TNA is the second largest spend for any businesses. It's second to payroll, and in for some companies which I have been discussing, they spend around 10 to 12% of their annual spend budget in TNE, right? So in case of US, around 25% of US companies spend over $1 million and above in case of TNE, which is huge amount, right? And then the overspending, right? Overspending is one thing which we will discuss and how to avoid. So as to sum it up, travel for business is inevitable, right? We will not be able to avoid it, because people tried it during pandemic. They tried to avoid business travel, they cut down travel, but they soon realized it is not possible. So only thing which is in our control is to how to manage it better, how to optimize it better, how to waste the cost which is incurred in the business travel and expense management. So what are travel and expense? Because this is a kind of a very general slide, but you all know what comes under the travel and expense for employees. So one is your business travel, which is straightforward, the accommodation expenses during travel, the per diem allowances, the mileage expenses when the employee uses their car or they uses some other rental car. Then there's the meals and entertainment expenses. Then there are office utilities. Now there's a new thing which is catching up, which is the work from home furniture expenses, the Wi-Fi expenses, and the subscription expenses and the fees for software and for the professional development. And all those things will actually contribute the TNA expenses for the employees. So when I discuss with a lot of small companies, I get this answer. So we have no problem with a travel and expense management. Why do we need a standard and automated tool, or why do you need a automated expense management solutions? Because it's going good. We handle all our T&E through Excel sheet, or we have our own accounting software, or we have our accounting software where we have a small T&E module, or we have a HR software which has a small expense module, so we don't have a problem. This is the answer I get from most of the people, right? So there are either a manual method which they do with Excel sheets, and there is a legacy system, as I told you, which is part of their ERP or accounting or HR tools. But when you see your employee, when these are the situations if you face into your employees, so if you see your sales employees sitting in month end piled up with receipts, right? Then you realize the importance, right? Because the core function of a salesperson is to actually close his month end sales, not to actually handle his traveled expense at month end, because that is what he has to focus his time on. So if you see this situations in your company, then it's high time that you have to adapt to an automated expense management tool, right? When you are suffering from out of policy bookings from your travel team, that is a sign that you need to switch to a automated travel expense management tool. And then when your finance team is suffered with the mundane task of handling and time consuming error prone expense reporting, and there is thousands of mail go in and out to correct a small expense error, when he spends most of his time only to correct the errors in your receipts or something. So this is a high time you have to improve, so that it doesn't only save the cost, it also increases the productivity of these people so they can focus on their core task, right? A finance team, instead of doing a mundane task, if your T&E is automated, he can focus on other things on a strategic level to see where he can actually optimize the finance cost better, instead of focusing on the receipts, sitting on the pile of the receipts and then searching everything at the month end and then running behind employees to submit the expense report, right? So if this scenario, if you face in your company, it's high time you have to adapt to a travel and expense management automated tool, right? So now let us see, like before getting into automation tool, let us see what are the challenges a manual expense management tool or expense modules and legacy system face. So the first thing in a manual expense management, you have to chase for the receipt, right? There's always the problem of lost receipts, there's always the problem of smudged receipts, so people lose. When I was using manual expense management years before, I see my receipts in the washing machine, right? And then you sit and then you lose money, your employees lose money, you are not able to account receipts month, and you search all your pockets for the receipts, right? It's very difficult in a managed thing. And then one, the employee moral is down because he is losing money and you are not. And if it's a corporate card, he already spent and he loses receipts, and he will not be able to get the reconciliation into accounts. Then again, manual reconciliation, you have to sit your card expenses and do the reimbursements thing. This affects the morale of employees, because he invests the money before for business travel and he receives after 45 days or 50 days. So this actually brings down the morale of the employee. And then the card spend is totally invisible, uncontrolled spend, difficulty in tracking the data because you just do it ad hoc, right? And then second set of people will say, okay, I have an expense module in the legacy system. The biggest challenge, because they do just to serve the purpose, the biggest challenge in a legacy system is that first, it has a limited mobility. It doesn't have a probably a mobile interface where you can actually handle your expenses during mobile. And then it has limited integration options. For example, expense automation tool is integrated with a Uber or a travel tool, or it can be integrated to any of the third party service platform, and then it makes lives easy for your employees, right? It even with the reimbursement or for the travel or for the cards, everything. A legacy system will not give you the kind of integration options, so you have to sit with it. And if you want to integrate even with the bank, you have to spend thousands of dollars to even integrate for a online reimbursement, right? So the expense tools comes with a kind of a one touch automation for everything, right? And then it's a one size fits all features in a legacy system. And then the most important thing which I normally don't like in a legacy system is a very clunky and a old UI where you don't know where to actually enter the data, and very complex configurations where your travel manager or the finance person has to sit and then learn about this legacy system for months together to implement it, right? So these are the challenges if you face if you use a manual or expense module in the legacy in the system. So now let's come, probably I think I spend more time on putting up the pain points. Let us come, what does the automation and expense management brings to the table? First thing is it brings life to your policies. As a finance manager, as a owner of a business, as one who handles the business of your clients, you may have something in your mind of as a policy, but how to bring that policy to life? For example, there was one customer who said that I don't want to my employees to climb Uber on a weekend, right? So it can be possible if you want to search every Uber receipts manually on a weekend, but if your employee expense management tools automatically stops your employees from submitting Uber receipts on a Saturday or a Sunday, so that solves problem, right? Your a travel team or a expense team should not spend like say whatever policy you have in your mind, it should, the automation brings life to your policy. I was saying one example. So there can be example of you wanted to blocklist some vendors, so you don't want your employees to submit expenses through of a particular vendor, so you can do that this thing. And second very important thing is control before the spend happens. So most of the manual or the legacy system, it's just a platform to account your expenses. So once you expenses happening, you can actually like submit expenses and claim. So you will not be able to control before the spend happens, right? An automated tool helps you to do that. So you can see what is your budget for a particular employee for your department, and then you can see, okay, you have $1,000 for mobile expenses, but my department already spent $980, so there's only $20. So you can intimate your department saying that, guys, our budget for this year for mobile telephony or internet or food is done, so let us be careful, or else you can go to your boss and ask for more budget. So it's better, and if you want to cut, you can stop there, right? So that flexibility comes with an automated tool. And very important thing is automated expense recording, right? So when you have a manual expense recording system, like when your employees enter the receipts in the system, there's always prone to a manual error, right? They can duplicate expenses, they can actually like misplace numbers, or they can intentionally fudge numbers, whatever they can do. But with the tools like auto scan, with the OCR technology, with email forwarding, with scan snaps, with Uber integration, so the expense recording is automated so that there is no error for manual intervention or manual. So automatically, whatever receipts, the system captures it, so that everything what you have in the physical thing, it comes in this thing. And then you can detect anomalies in that with the technology. If there's a duplication expense, if there is some vendors your blocklisted is there, this can be detected by your system. And then very important thing is that you can also give options to your employees while booking the travel. For example, so if there is 4 flight options from like New York to Florida, right? You have 4 options, so you can actually throw up the options to employees, saying that, okay, there are 4 flight options, and this comes in different cost, and then this comes in different times. So you can push your employees to select better economical options. So even if they wanted to go for other option, which is the higher cost, they have to give a reason. You can either block the booking, or else you can give a warning to them. Okay, you're booking the flight which is $10 or $20 more than the average, or more than the cheaper flight. Why are you doing it? So you can give them the kind of a blocking violation, not allow them to book it, or else you can give them the warning, hey, you are booking it which is more than the cheapest flight, give us the reason. So you get all those things, right? And finally, what you do with all these things, you get informed decision making based on all these things, what you do with this thing, so that you can plan your policy next time with all this information. So this is the kind of a flexibility you get from it, right? So let us go one by one. So first thing is, as I told you, bring your expense policies to life. So as I told you, there are different policies you will have, and you can set multiple policies, right? So you can say you can set up policies based on the levels of employees. Okay, the ex-employee who is in a junior level role can actually travel by this flight, and probably a CXO level person can travel by a business class, so he can allowed with that. And then you can set policies for different levels and hierarchies of employees. You can set limits based on hierarchies and departments, so it gives all the flexibility. Whatever you thought about your policies, you can do. And then you can build your approval flow accordingly, right? So you can say, okay, any expenses less than $5,000 should be approved by the department head. Anything above 5,000 to $50,000 will be by the CFO, and anything above it can be a CFO. So it gives you multiple policies, it gives you a delegation, someone can book in on behalf of you. It gives all the flexibilities of actually doing it. It gives lives to the policy. As I said, you can block the Uber receipts on a weekend, you can actually block vendors, block anything you want to do. And then it is not to police employees. Some people, when I say, okay, why do you want to police, it's about like making it more austere, making it more transparent for employees. Because one day what happens during uncertainty, then we will stop everything, right? So instead of stopping all the facilities or the benefits for the employee, it's better to optimize so that you have a uniform employee engagement and employee experience across, instead of cutting one day and then spurging like a king next day. So that is where your expense policies with expense management tool can help you more, right? Uh, the next, as I was telling you, you can actually control before the spend happens. As I see that you can actually see what is your total budget, and then how much you're going to spend and how much is remaining budget. So this can be gone to a level of real time tracking. For example, you have, for example, in this case, we see automobile expense $60,000. The actual is $50,000, and you get a request for $10,000. It will add up to this $15,000 and then say, okay, if you approve this bill, then total $60,000 of your budget spent. So you will know whether you can approve the bill or not. So it gives the kind of empowerment for the managers to see with the current bill or with the current expense report what is the kind of impact my budget will have, right? So you can intimate your employees and then you can approve, you can see the real time budgets and then approve based, take a call based on that. Then one thing is, as I've told you, is the expense recording, right? The expense recording can be automated with a travel expense management tool. So when you have a manual tool, we see all the problems. Now in case of the expense recording through a technology called OCR through AutoScan, you can capture in 15 plus languages. It captures the receipt, it captures the receipt of the employees. Is there a streaming issue? I think it should good. Yeah. Yeah. So and it's not only for capturing the receipt. Sorry for that. I think there was some streaming issue. So it's not only to actually capture the receipts. It's also to manage your, for example, the mileage expenses. So mileage is one of the most challenging expenses. You don't know the accurate amount of miles traveled by the employees, right? The expense management tools gives you different options to capture your mileage when you use a company car, when you use your personal car, anything. So you can actually calculate the mileage with GPS, where you can just need to enter a start and stop so that the entire distance is calculated. There is another option where you can actually calculate the distance using maps. You can put a point and B point. There's a third option which we recently launched with our solution, is that when you travel in a car the entire day, you can capture the entire car log of that particular day. You just need to swipe right or left to account your business expense and personal expense. So you don't need to even do anything. You just need to connect your vehicle to the app, and then you just need to swipe right for or left for your business or personal expenses, right? So it's become simpler. So it gives you more empowerment for the finance team or a travel manager to get more accurate data of how much travel happens, so you can decide your policies next year. So how much you need to pay for this particular vehicle and everything. So how is the pattern of your employees traveling, which way route they travel and everything. And this, like, there are advanced facilities there where these tools can be even connected through a iWatch, right? So it is easier. You can manage your mileages through your watch. And then in case of your per diem, right, in US we have GSA per diem norms. So the most of the expense tools has the inbuilt GSA per diem rates every year built. So the travel manager or the finance manager has to just download the GSA rate, and automatically the per diem rates are calculated if the employees select the location. So it's making life simpler for employees, one thing, and then for the finance team and for your travel team, and also it saves a lot of money to you and improve the productivity, right? So this is one more benefit. And again, as I've said, this is one very alarming fact which we see particularly in the US markets, is that there's huge employee fraud happening. Around 2.8 billion per year of expense fraud happens in US. And then in any typical organization, a 5% of annual revenues are lost due to fraud, right? Because this is again when you discuss with a lot of small business owners, they said, okay, we have to ignore, keep the employee moral, these things, but how long we are going to actually like keep this thing ignoring, right? Because as I said in the beginning, we don't have different options to save or control the cost, so now we need to look forward mostly. Again, if you leave, because one of the business owner was telling me, okay, this is small expense of like $5, and I don't bother to do it, right? So when you ignore this small $5 and $10, it actually catapults and becomes a large sum of money, which covers under the corporate. You will lose a lot of money before you know, right? Because this expense fraud. So um, this technology with an automated expense management tool helps you to detect this one. And you can detect anomalies. So when employees submit a duplicate bill, they submit the same bill again and again, or if the amount in the receipt are same, so it can highlight it. It can actually highlight if there is a particular expense item which is from a blocklisted item or a blocklisted vendor. So it can help you to detect this one, which is not available in your manual systems, or in a legacy system, right? And this is what I was saying on the drive your employees to book the right option. So here I'm focusing mostly on the benefits of expense automated expense management tool to control the cost. So there are different benefits, but in this presentation I'm focusing only on the avenues where you can save the money here, right? For example, the next one, like this is one big saving. With the inflationary pressures, the flight charges, the hotel charges are increasing. So you can actually make your employees to book your preferred set of hotels, or you can make your employees to book a preferred airline, or else you can give them the options of the economical airlines. You can negotiate with your vendors. You can actually onboard the expense man, because most of the expense management tool like Zoho Expense, which we work for, is already have an inbuilt travel and expense management tool, which has pre-negotiated fares from the different airlines and the hotels. So it gives a kind of a best in class inventory of airlines and hotels pre inbuilt in the tool, which will actually save money for the travel managers. And also you can drive the employees to select the most economical option, right? So for example, from as I was telling you, from New York to Florida, if there are three travel ticket options, so you can push them to book the most economical option, or else you can ask them to actually give the reason why they have booked the costlier option. You can even block all those things. So these kind of flexibility is given. In case of hotels, for example, if you have your preferred vendor, you can make sure that only those preferred vendor is available for booking, not all the hotels. So this flexibility is there. It's not available with your regular travel booking tools. So they will show you all the options of Marriott or a Hyatt or every hotel available. So you can't stop your employee in booking the hotel of his choice. But if you have your travel and expense management tool where they have an inbuilt travel booking tool, you can show only the hotels which you have a pre-negotiated rates. You have show only this particular hotels, and then you can show only a particular rate. So these are the benefits. So this helps you in saving money. You can sometimes even reward your employees to actually booking the right cost flight. Yeah. Then all of these things, as I told you, it helps you to make informed decisions in everything. So for example, the same route, so for example, you are saying that most of your employees are traveling to only the 7 to 10 cities in US. So you can negotiate with a hotel in those 7 to 10 cities only, or else you can ask your expense management tool only to better rates for that particular chain or something. And then you can negotiate with them and show only the total. So when you split your hotel room nights for two chains, instead you can give it to one chain, so you give a better savings. Same with the flights and this thing. So this data is available from an expense management tool. So it gives you all this data. So which flight routes your employees take the most, which hotel they stay the most, which is the thing they buy more, which internet telephony they use more, which mobile phone options, which plan they use more. So this data has been thrown out to you, which gives you amplitude of ammunition to actually decide your policy next time. So this data can be put in different reports, different categories, different departments, different employee ways. You can track which employee is spending more, who is not submitting reports on time. Everything can be done with this one. So this is about how an expense management software helps you in actually like helping to take control the cost. In turn, once you control the expense, it will help you to save the cash flow, which we said it's important, right? So now you have questions. So how, what is the right way to select a TNE software, right? So these are few points which I'm helping like trying to put with my experience. Like first is that always go for a specialized TNE software, which is the reason we have been seeing over all the slides. um, Access the organization needs and the compatibility of the current software to your ecosystem, because this is the mistake people do. Mostly the business owners, they find some software which is probably economical or a cheaper, but once they buy it, it will not fit their current IT ecosystem, and they spend a lot of money in actually making it integrated to it. So see which is that particular software which will rightly fit into your the current tech stack, instead of actually going to a new software. And a very important thing, research on the depth of the software, because this is one thing which I see in the current expense management software solutions. They just buy expense as part of a suite, and then it doesn't have depth. So probably now when you're a small company, it can help you to solve the problem, but when you grow as a bigger company, when you need more depth in the expense software, then you have to migrate from the current expense management tool or a suite of product to a standalone tool. So see that whether your current expense management tool or what you're going to buy can scale up when you grow as a larger company, right? Because change management is difficult for employees. You have to actually like make them to change, right? So that is one thing. And very important, which you see, is review the security and data privacy feature. This is very key when you see, because these are all sensitive data of your employees traveling. This is your travel and expense data and everything. So see how much of security importance is given by the software while selecting it. And then very important, the last point which we say is the customization, right? So you may have a different approval flow. It's not one size fit all for everyone. So see how configurable the software is, how customizable. Can you build a kind of a small webhook called, can you build a custom function for your company, because every company's requirement for a travel and expense software is different. So it's not one size fit all. So you have to see how flexible the software is. So this is a kind of a go-to guide to select the right TNE software, to save your expenses, to control your expenses, so that in turn you can control the cash flow. In turn, you can improve the profits and then make your business flourish. So this is from the webinar. So before getting into the questions, what we see, I'll just dive bit upon. I'll take some time explaining what is Zoho Expense all about. As I said, Zoho Expense is a complete end-to-end travel and expense automation tool to automate your travel and expense process, right from booking your travel online or offline or through travel desk, to auto scanning your receipt, to expense reporting, to setting up your category limits. So anything you need for expense management, so Expense is the go-to software. It's a 9-year-old software product within the Zoho ecosystem. And then we have customers across globe, and we have implemented uh, across US and other regions across the globe. And then, as I said, the right way to select your uh, software is to, it has to fit right into your tech stack, into your entire ERP ecosystem or the entire software ecosystem, right? Zoho Expense, as we said, we have 55 plus products, but we actually collaborate, and we are very open and transparent in integrating with any software of your choice. So we seamlessly integrate with your existing IT infrastructure, requiring no additional adjustments, whether it's accounting applications like QuickBooks or a Zero or a HRMS software or a Active Directories or a travel booking applications. We compete and collaborate with almost all the companies, and then we can custom integrate for you. So we perfectly fit your accounting IT ecosystem, and we powerfully integrate with most of these accounting ERPs or travel. Few to name here, I just put here only on the accounting side of it. but we integrate with the travel ecosystem, we integrate with banking ecosystem, we integrate with the cards in case of Amex or Visa or a Master. We have the real-time feed integrations where you can, once you swipe the card, the feeds can instantly come to your expense management tool, and then you can reconcile your expenses instantly. You just need to take a picture of the receipt. So everything what we have discussed in the previous slides on what an automation tool has, Zoho Expense has it all. And one more thing, as if you are a CPA who handles expenses for your clients, so we have through Zoho Practice, we have one dashboard where you can manage all your clients' expenses in one place, right? So you can with Zoho Expense, you can actually centralize your entire client expense management. You can handle all your clients' employees' expenses one place, so that it helps you or gives you an opportunity to not only be an accountant or a bookkeeper to your clients, but also to consult them, to actually enhance your advisory services to a kind of a controller, not just an accountant. So you can actually suggest them what they can do to control their spend, how they can manage their spends, where their spends are happening. So you just upgrade yourself, not from just an accountant but also a consultant or a kind of a controller. So this is an extra advisory for you. You can tell them, and then slowly you can also suggest them or consult them to build a tech stack around the entire processes, because the main challenge, as we said, is the problem of the automated process for the entire businesses. So with Zoho, once you will not be just an accountant or a bookkeeper for your clients, but you can also help them on the advisory, a consultant, a spend management consultant. You can become a controller and probably a partial CFO, and then also help them to build their entire tech stack for their business to automate their entire business operation. So that is one thing which Zoho offers you also, right? And we also have a specific partner program for the CPAs, where we have exclusive offers where you can use Zoho Expense for your own practice for 3 years for free, and then you can give an exclusive offer to your clients to resell Zoho Expense subscription to your clients. You get a special benefit. You get implementation support from Zoho Expense to implement for your clients. You get a dedicated product manager to help you in this thing. So we have this special partner program for CPAs, for accounting firms. So please check it out. There's a QR code, or else you can reach out to us anytime, and we will be happy to have you on board as a partner, and also for trying out Zoho Expense for your own practice and for your clients' expense management tools also. So that's it from my side. Thanks for listening. I hope this last 15 minutes have been useful for you, and I hope I shared my experience, whatever I had on the automated expense management and how it helps in cash flow. Now over to the Earmark team.
Today's event has ended. To earn CPE, go to earmark.app or scan the QR code on the screen. Then log in or create your free account. Search for the course by tapping on the magnifying glass icon on the home screen and then entering the name of this event. It takes a few days to make the course, so if you're attending this event live, keep an eye out for an email letting you know when the course is available. Pass the quiz to earn your CPE, then tap the button to email yourself a certificate. Stay tuned for more events from Earmark. Thanks for joining us, and we hope to see you again soon.